Afternoon, good evening. This is your girl, Ebony Marie, and I am super excited for today's show. I have one of the most determined individuals that I know with me today. And this person has blessed my life tremendously in many different ways. She's become a sister to me, and I'm so glad to have her in my life. So I'm going to allow her to introduce herself, but help me in welcoming my sister, Miss Tina Marie.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on the show. This is crazy. My name is Tina Marie. What am I? You know what? I hate this question because I'm just Tina. I am a faith walker. I am a faith talker. I am a twin. I am a daughter. I am an auntie. I am a what else? Sister. I'm me. I'm me. I'm a servant. I am a Jackie of all trades. I got like 11 businesses. Yeah, that's me. That's me.
Yes, 11, and she is not lying. Every time I turn around, there's a new one started.
Yeah. And stay tuned because it's one on the horizon. I'm just going to put that out there.
So, Tina, those are all things that you do. So we're going to go a little bit deeper, but who is Tina Marie?
Tina Marie is, it's essentially something. I said that I'm a servant, but that's who I am. That's who I am. I am a servant that loves the heck out of God, that will do what God tells me to do. It's the craziest thing. I am a faith walker. I am a faith talker. I'm that person that if God told me to move tomorrow, I'm packing my stuff up today, and I don't have no job. I don't have a place to live. I'm that person that says, "Okay, God, I'll do it," and I'll get in that car and I'll start driving, praying the whole way that God, Your will be done. I'll live in my car for a little bit if I have to. I've done it before. So that's who I am. I am that person that whenever God says go, she's gonna go, no matter what.
Amen. And I can attest to that. I am a witness. I have helped her pack up the apartment and pack the car, and we drove across the country. We're never doing that again. But I have witnessed witnessed the faith. But so I guess the biggest question for those who may be shaking, their faith may not be as strong as yours. So was your faith always this strong?
My faith was always this strong. However, I didn't really activate it until I moved away from home. You know, when you're home, you learn the foundations of God, and when you go to church, you learn the foundations, and you learn the basics, and you're good. You're good. But then when you move away from home, or God sends you away from home, that's when you start learning, in my opinion, who God really is, what God can really do. So initially, my faith walk started right when I was moving from home. I knew I heard God, but I didn't know, okay, it is this God. So when God told me to move to Dallas, I was like, okay, I'll do it. So I think that's when my faith walk started, how my faith journey started, and how I started to really have faith in God and believe, okay, this is really a thing. This is what we're gonna do. So I would say my level of faith started right at the cusp of me leaving home.
Yeah. And I think that's a big thing because a lot of us don't realize what we have until we move away from a comfort zone. Home is
Right.
comfort. Home, if something fails, I know I have someone, be it, a parent, a grandma, auntie, cousin, sibling, someone
Mm.
I is going to be there to help me. But when I move away, that's a
Right.
whole nother level because I don't know who I have in this new place that I would be able to lean on the way I did with where I grew up back home. So
For
that is
sure.
a big key. Like we don't really know our strength or how big our faith is until we actually step out.
Right. Right.
That's really good. That's really good.
And and this is the
So
thing. It really
mm,
it makes you trust God a little bit more. That's the thing. It once you
yes.
leave home, it makes you trust God a little bit more because you don't want to always call home, hey, my daddy, sister, brother, auntie, uncle, grandma, I don't have money for my electric bill. Yeah, you're gonna have to figure that thing out. You're gonna have to figure that thing out. You made the decision to move away. And if you trust God like you say you trust God, if God told you to move away, then he's gonna handle it. So handle your business. Yeah.
Right. Yes, that is big. That is a big step. So, with your faith walk, okay, so you moved from now I know where you moved from. So,
Okay.
you moved from Indiana to Texas, from
Correct.
Texas to Arizona,
Yes.
from Arizona to California. You
Yes.
did a small little split in in Georgia.
Georgia.
Well, you went back to home and then you went to
Mhm.
Georgia. And then
Yes.
we traveled from Georgia back to California.
Yes.
And in that,
Yes.
because
Mhm.
that's a lot. Some people are like, what is going on? In
Right.
that, have you ever felt any point that like, God, are you sure? Like, was there ever any wavering, whether you acted on it or the thought came?
Never. Never. There was no um, faith waiver at all because one thing that I know for sure is that I hear from God. And God, when God tells me to do something, I'm not like, oh, but God, I don't know how I'm going to pay. I don't know where I'm going to live. I don't know where I'm going to work. That's just not, thank God, that's just not where I've been. That's not my history. When God tells me to do
Yeah.
something, that's what I do. So even when I lived in California the first time, and when I moved here, I didn't have a place to live. I didn't have a job. All I had was a promise from God, and that was for me to move to California. I said, "Okay, God." Now I knew the cost of living in California, and I knew how much my last check was, and it just didn't add up. That's not what it was. But when I got here, even during the trip was about 5 hours. As I was driving, God made a way for me to have somewhere to live, and I was thankful for that. Um, when I lived at that place, and the person said, "Hey, you know what? I don't think it's going to work out. You have to move out by this date." Well, when the day they told me I had to move out, God opened the door for me to have a 9 to 5 job. So I say, okay, God, I thank you. And this is nothing that I'm like, oh God, I need this, I need that. I'm not doing that because I'm not begging God for a promise that He already gave me. God, you
Right.
said this is what I'm supposed to do, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do what I have to do. Faith without works is dead. So I'm going to work. I'm going to do my due diligence, and I'm going to thank you in advance for your yes and amen. So there's never been a waiver where I'm like, oh, I made the wrong decision. Absolutely not. Have I been like, oh God, what am I going to do? Absolutely. Because sometimes like my ends don't meet on this faith walk. My ends do not meet. My end may be right here and then in the middle. And I'm like, oh God, what am I going to do at the end of this thing? Um,
Right.
but I'm never questioning, did I make the right decision? God, did I hear you clearly? Because I know I did.
Amen. And so I want to transition just a little. So we talked about everywhere you're living, but
Mhm.
you're doing something that career wise, not outside of all the many businesses,
Okay.
career wise, you are you're doing something that there are a lot of people who would love to be in your position. And the
Mhm.
way you got there, I mean, I the story still amazes me because it's like that's not I didn't think that's where God was taking you.
Yeah.
But it it's like because I was like, I mean, I know you're very talented, but
Mhm.
did you see where you're at now? Did you see that at all? And like, or was it just you were just a surprise to get to this point as some of us were?
Yeah, no, I didn't see that. I'm actually every day of my life, I'm always surprised at how far God has brought me. Um, so no, I never saw myself. Okay, I saw myself in the entertainment industry, but not where I am. I saw myself editing, and believe it or not, that's not what I'm doing at all. I've always been the behind the scenes type of person, so that's what I wanted to be. But I never saw myself actually interacting with celebrities, being friends with celebrities. None of that, none of that. But and it's crazy, like you said, how it happened. I was literally my cousin is Kenny Lofton, and he has a studio with a partner of his. And I was up there. When I first got to LA, he was like, "Hey, Tina, I want you to meet my business partner. Maybe we can kind of help you. I'll get you a couple gigs here and there." So I'm like, "Okay, cool." So the business partner asked me, "Hey, what do you do?" I said, "I do some editing." So I went up to the studio and I was editing a couple things. Well, there was a lady that was there, and I was literally just doing my work. So I was walking back and forth, through the studio from the front door where she was near one of the offices, walking past, and we ended up meeting and connecting, and that's where I started working with her. Now, mind you, I worked it on a set before I met her, but once I connected with her, that's when like the door started opening and God started to do his thing concerning myself working in the industry. I think I answered your question.
Yeah. So it because it all ties in faith and favor. Um,
Mhm.
because like you said, like you were faithful to walk out and do what God told you to do.
Yeah.
None of it looked like anything. There was times it looked like nothing was about to happen, but
Uh,
you continue to remind God, like God, you said, you told me.
yes.
And
Mhm.
as you continue to trust in him and have faith in his word, he led you to a place that gave you favor and open
Yes.
doors. And, just because you're my sister and I know,
Mhm.
we've experienced people speaking your name in rooms that you weren't in, and people reaching
Yes.
out to you saying, you were referred to me, and that's
Yes.
how you were been able to get some of the gigs. That's called favor. That
Absolutely.
is
Absolutely.
the favor of God. And so I'm like, your story, I really want people to understand what faith does when we do the work according to what God, to like just be faithful in what God told us to do.
Be faithful in
And
what
I
God told
believe
us
your
to
life,
do. Mhm.
yes, yes, and I believe your life exudes that because
Yes. And this is the thing. Be faithful in what God said, but be obedient to what God says as well. That's the key. Be obedient. Like when God tells you to do something, it is not our business to question what he said to do. Because if God said
right.
do it, then it's going to work. It's going to happen. It's going to work out for our good. If somebody else said do it, then that's when you should question. Because I've had it so many times, like on this faith journey that I'm on, I have a lot of people that say, "Oh, you didn't hear from God," or "That wasn't God. I think you should do X, Y, Z." Well, listen, I've done that before, and I'm not going to do it. Like, that's why it's
Yeah.
very important to be clear that it's God versus somebody else. You have to be clear on
Yes.
that. You have to be clear, because if you're not clear on that, then and of course everybody's faith journey is different, but the, the key is clarity, hearing God, knowing that it's God, and not moving on your own thoughts and ideas. So yeah.
So, how did you know it was God? Because there's a lot of people will say, "Oh, I don't know if I hear God," or and they fight back and forth. And yes, the voice can sound like your voice, and so how do
Yeah.
I decipher which one's me, which one's God? And so, how did you learn to really hear and trust that this is God's voice?
Right. Okay. So great question. For me, um, because it's crazy. It was crazy. God was telling me to do things that did not make sense. Um, I read my word. I was active in ministry, so my foundation helped me. And for me, if God tells me to do something, anytime God has told me to do something, I'm always going to ask God for confirmation, whether that be a confirmation through a person, whether it be a confirmation through a situation. I'm always going to ask God for confirmation. So, example, when I moved to um, which one of the states? Let me see. Dallas. Let's say the first state that I moved to, Dallas. I was going through a situation at home, and I called my friend. I said, "Hey, I'm thinking about moving. Um, uh, what do you think? Oh, you can move to Dallas." I said, "Okay, cool." So I think I was in a store, and I'm like, "God, I just need you to confirm that this is the right thing for me to do." And
Mhm.
I feel like what I do is I put a fleece out to God. God, if this is what it's supposed to be, can you make it like this? I need to be very specific, because one thing I don't want to be is out of the will of God. So I don't remember exactly
Yeah.
what happened. All I know is that I put a fleece out to God, and I asked God for a specific thing, and that thing happened. So that's what I tend to do in most situations and scenarios. God, if I'm supposed to go, I need you to be very clear that this is your will for my life in this season. Because sometimes we have these thoughts and we have these ideas, but it's not the right time. So because
Right.
I honestly was trying to go for LA. I was trying to move like a year before, and I asked God, and God was like, now is not the time. So I said, okay, cool. I'm good. And then a year later, and God opened the door. Still didn't have anywhere to live, still didn't have a job. But because I was clear on what God wanted me to do, I was okay with that. I was okay. So
Mhm.
for me, hearing God's voice, um, being making sure that you're in your word, because God talks to us in his word. God talks to us
Yes.
in song. God talks to us through other people. Like, I've gotten prophetic words that have confirmed, even though, like, when I put a fleece out, I'm not saying, "Ooh, girl, I put a fleece out to God and I said blah 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 blah." No, that's not what it is. I'm talking to God. God, listen, Daddy. So you told me this, but I'm gonna need you to confirm it through, I don't know, confirm it through Ebony in one of our mini conversations. Let's talk about it. And then if I'm talking to you and you say something that resonates with my spirit, I'm like, okay, God, I hear you. So I make sure that
Yeah.
I listen to God, I hear God, I put a fleece out, and then I trust what God tells me to do. So,
Yes, that's good. And you hit on something too. You said timing, because a lot of
mhm,
people, they were like, "Well, I know God told me this, and I had a dream about this." And it's not that they're wrong, but the
right.
timing is off. How important is it to be in God's timing?
So timing is everything. Timing, it's honestly, it could be a matter of death and life, life and death. So what does that mean? That means um, it's January, right? And you know that God gave you a promise, and God told you that you're supposed to move to Alabama in at some point that year. But you're like, oh God, I just graduated from college in May. This is the right time. I think I'm supposed to move this time right here. But God didn't say this move this time that year. So God could be if you move prematurely, then that can mean you won't have the job that God wanted you to have. You won't have the place to live where God wanted you to have. You will not have anything because you'll be outside of the timing that he told you to go and his will. But if you wait a couple more months, that couple months could be somebody else moved out of the apartment you're supposed to move in, somebody else put in their 2 week notice for the time for the job that you're supposed to go to. Like timing is everything. We can't be so in a hurry to um this sounds crazy, but it's not crazy, I promise. We can't be in such a hurry to do God's will outside of his timing than do his will inside of his timing. So timing is everything. Everything.
Yes. 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 And you hit on that because so yes, it's a word and a promise from God, but it's not all about you. It's not all about me. There
Yes.
are others involved. So it's all about God's like, I'm orchestrating a thing here.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so if we move out of tune, it can mess up the whole song. So,
Oh my
he's,
gosh.
harmonizing everything. So if I
Mhm.
move too soon, I could sound like that one violin, like, it's like
Yes.
that's not it. So
Mhm.
that is very, very, very important.
Yeah,
And
no,
I, and
that's
I
true
liked how you
because
said that. That person may
mhm.
not have quit their job yet. And that
Yes.
that house that God has for you may not be available yet. So that is
Yes.
very key. Yes.
Yes. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
so
Well, and
this is love
let me just
thyself.
double
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, let me just double back. And you said it like it's not about us. It's a matter of like if we move outside of God's will for our life, if we move prematurely, there's so many people that's connected to what God is doing in our lives.
Yes.
So you have the
Yes.
person that you have not only your benefits of the home, your benefits of the job, but you have the people at the job, you have the people at the home, at the
Yes.
house, you have your realtor, you have all of these people are connected to you. So it's, and not to put that much pressure on the person, but it's not about you as it pertains to your faith walk and what God is doing in your life. It's not about you. So as long as we are obedient to what God is telling us to do, as long as we do the will of God, then we are good, and we're being blessed, but also so many more people are being blessed.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. That is very important. It that and that really is key because
Yeah.
me being in God's will doesn't only bless me, but it blesses those that are
Mhm.
connected to me
Yes.
and
Yes.
connected to the process. Because
Mhm.
there may be, like you said, the realtor. It may be
Yeah.
somebody who is struggling and they need this sale. And God was like, I'm gonna
Come
bless
on.
you because he knew that he was gonna send you at this point in time and that you were going to meet that realtor and that realtor was going to have the words to speak to get the house that you want,
Yes.
and all of that
Yes.
is going to work together for you both to be blessed. So
Yes.
that is big, that is huge, that is key because your our lives should bless others. It should not
Yes.
only be about me.
Yep.
It's not about me. Ebony Marie's life is not about Ebony Marie.
Right.
Everything that I do as I'm in the will of God should be a blessing to others because I want to be a testament to what God can do and is doing. So that
Yes.
is amazing. That is
Yes.
great. Thank you, Tina Marie, everyone. So the show is called Love Thyself. So, and you know
Okay.
me, I'm big on self love and learning
Mhm.
how to love yourself through the process. So,
Mhm.
in your faith walk, your faith journey, how important was love for yourself to help you in this walk?
You know what? If I'm completely honest with you, my faith walk started way before my love for myself. I just knew I wanted to be
Mm.
obedient to God and what God was saying to do, because I love God, right? But my self love literally started. I will have to say, um, when I moved to California. I loved myself, absolutely, but my awareness to loving myself, to loving the things of Tina, to loving, um, not only what Tina can do, but who Tina is. So
Mm.
that literally started, I mean, back in 2018. Previous to that, it's not that I did not love myself, but I was so concerned about, or so, um, I guess, concerned about making sure that everybody else was good, that everybody else had what they needed, that I didn't too much worry about me or what I needed or what was best for me, until I moved to Los Angeles. And then once I did that, I was like, you're not bad, girl. You are not bad. Like you were good with. Like, so that's when it started. Like, when I really had to, this move here to, Los Angeles has been the hardest, most fulfilling move that I've ever made, that I've known was God. Um, but it's also taught me who I am, that I am deserving of the love, not only from other people, but from
Yes,
myself, you know. And that's important to know. That is
absolutely.
very important to understand, that you're on this earth for other people, but you have to make sure you're good. You can't pour from an empty cup. So I'm learning that it's a daily thing, just like my faith walk is a daily thing. Self love is a daily thing. Self care is a daily thing. I literally have to force myself, because I'm so used to being the servant, so used to being that person that always loves on people and wants to make sure that they're good. I have to be intentional about my own self love, my own self care, and making sure that I am doing good and I am being filled, so that I can continue to fill other people.
Yes. And that is so important. And so how did you see, or how was your lack of awareness to self-love affecting your work?
Um, I would get annoyed really quickly. I would get annoyed really quick, because I would, I would be put all my energy into other people, and then when I would have that time to sit down and be quiet, I would be alone. Now, being alone is not a bad thing, but I wasn't in the God is isolating me period of my life. I was in the point of I was like, I do all this for other people, and when I need my cup filled, there's nothing there. There's nobody there. So that's where I was. So I would easily I'd be like, dang, nobody's there for me, and I'm doing this for everybody else. So I would get annoyed. So then I had to back up and say, okay, you got to do some things for yourself. You have to start not only making sure that everybody else is good, you have to make sure that you're good. Because if you're not good, you're gonna be in the same cycle of you're giving, 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 giving. Then when you're tired, you sit
Yes.
down for a minute, not because you're trying to give yourself self-care, but you're sitting down because you're tired. And then, God allows us to think, but the devil also allows us to think too. So you're thinking and you're like, this person doesn't like me. When that is far from the truth. That is far from the truth. It's our responsibility and our job to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves too. Like, we're the ones that are okay. Tina, now you took care of that person. That's good. But now take some time for yourself. The same energy that you have trying to make sure that they're good, Try to make sure
Yes.
that you're good. How is your mental health? How is your heart? Are you tired?
Right.
Are you drinking too much caffeine? Did you pray today? Did you
Yes.
go did you go on your walk? Like, you literally have to do that to yourself sometimes, because we get so wrapped up in, especially givers and sowers and people that constantly serve. You have to do checks on yourself. You have to check to make sure that you're not doing too much. You have to make sure that you're good here, because you can be going, and the enemy is talking to you real soft, like, and making you think certain things that are not what it is. So it's important.
Yes.
It self-love, that is self-love and faith, that's important. To me, it goes hand in hand, because you have to have that faith walk. You have to do what God
Yeah.
tells you to do, but you also have to love yourself through it. You have to make sure you're good, because if
Mhm.
you're not good, how you really gonna obey God?
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. Yeah. And you hit on some things, because you were saying, how the enemy will throw thoughts your way as well. And if you don't love yourself, if you don't love yourself, you don't have confidence in who you are. You don't have confidence in your capabilities, and
Mhm.
that allows room for low self-esteem. So then when the enemy comes and throws those suggestive thoughts, it's easier for
Mhm.
you to latch on to the negative thoughts that he throws instead of the positive life-giving thoughts that God gives us. And
Absolutely.
so that's one of the biggest things that, me, I'm always like, take care of yourself, take a
Yes.
break, don't
Mhm. Mhm.
drink.
Right.
Like, that's not good for your body. We
Right.
have to take that time. It is so important. So, like, for us to have that time to relax and,
Mhm.
always think about, you remember On a Different World when Debbie Allen was the counselor, she was relax, relate, release.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. And
Relax,
that is
relate,
true.
release.
That is
But
so
it's
true.
so true. It's so true. And I'm like, that is one of the biggest things. And now I know I'm guilty of it. That's, part of my life's journey is learning to love myself in every season.
Mhm.
So with where you're at now,
Mhm.
how much have you grown in your love for yourself in your
Oh
faith
my
walk
God. You know what?
compared to 2018?
Girl, I have grown honestly by leaps and bounds, I would say, with loving myself and my faith walk, because loving yourself also means setting boundaries. Loving yourself
Yes.
means being aware of who you are, what you bring to the table. Loving
Yes.
yourself is the difference between um, I'm gonna get this because I can, or I'm gonna get this because this is all I can get.
Mhm.
Like, loving yourself, there's a difference between loving yourself because you have to, and loving yourself because you want to. Like, for me, I've got to love myself, but I want to love myself in this season. Like, there is so much that Tina has to offer, that Tina brings to the table, that I'm not keeping that to myself anymore. I love myself enough to share it with the world, to make sure that I'm good so that I can be ready, willing, and able to do the will of God. Like, what God wants me to do is something that is so, like, major, that I've never done. I'm an introvert. So God is calling me to the front. Do I like to be in the front? Absolutely not. But where God has me in this season means I have to love myself to be confident, to be well aware of who I am, what it is He wants me to do. Like from 2018 to 2023, going into 2024, I would say that my love for myself and where my faith walk has catapulted. It's catapulted
Mhm.
because I see what God is doing and where God is taking me. And I only see a micro fraction of that thing. Can you imagine
Right.
if we saw the bigger picture of where God wants to take us or where God is taking us? Girl. So I can only imagine, like, my self-love and my faith walk has uh grown by leaps and bounds. I can't imagine. I got a prophetic word the other day. I can't imagine a year from now what God is going to do, how my self-love is going to be, and how my faith is going to be. It's going to be ridiculous. I feel it in the spirit already.
Yeah.
Like, I already know. I already know. So yeah, that's that.
And you hit on that is so powerful because you were saying there's a difference between loving yourself because you have to and because you want to. And
Yeah.
the have to, we're just going to break this down real quick. The have to is I have to, in order to be in good health, I have to take care of myself.
Come on.
Take a shower, do my hair, brush my teeth, the basic essentials of living. That
Yes.
is the have to. So there is a
Yeah.
level of loving ourselves that all of us do. And be truthful, some people don't because they're in a state of depression, because they're in a state
Right.
of oppression, because they
Mhm.
don't have the energy to really take care of themselves. But when we take care of ourselves, that's just the foundation. That's what I have to do just to survive. But when we're
Yes.
looking at I want to love myself, then we're going to that next level. Like you
It
said,
hits
we're
different.
setting the
Mhm.
boundaries. It
Yes.
hits completely different. I'm setting
Yes.
boundaries. Why? Because I'm not going to allow you to take the peace out of my life. I need to
Come
make
on.
sure that I have time for me to breathe. I
Yes.
need to make sure that my mental is good. Like I'm going to my
Yeah.
therapist and having time with my
Mhm.
therapist, so then that way I can discuss my life situations and make sure that I'm not going off the edge. So it's like
Right.
when you want to, you go to that extra mile because a lot of
Yes.
people don't see the benefits of therapy. They don't
Girl.
see the benefits of just having quiet time, like whether you're just
Mhm.
sitting in your backyard on your patio or in your
Yeah.
room in silence. That is
Mhm.
amazing.
Oh my
I
God.
never
Sitting in
thought I
your
would
car.
enjoy.
Listen, when
I
you
never thought I would.
pull up to your apartment, you cut that car off, you lean back in your seat, and next thing you know, you've been in there for an hour. That's loving yourself. That's self-care. What?
Time. Yes. Take the time. Take the
Girl.
time. You need that time to
Yes.
transition. You need that
Yes.
time to really unwind. And because one of the biggest things in when we're talking about boundaries, and
Mhm.
a lot of people always talk work-life balance, but you don't do that because
No.
you bring work home with you.
Come on.
I need to be able to separate. I'm not working right now. I'm with, I'm having my me time, or I'm with my
Right.
family. I'm with my friends. My love,
Right.
one of my love languages is quality time. So
Mhm.
when I'm with you, I want to be with you and not think
Right.
about work.
Right. And it's even worse,
So
I feel like, as an entrepreneur, because all you do is work, 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 work. So my home is set up like I have my office. And when I first moved here, my office was in my living room. So I had all of my work in my living room, and I just had my bedroom, and then I had another bedroom. So, but I was like, yeah, girl, you're gonna have to separate this stuff because you need your office, but then you need a place where you can go outside of your office to, like,
yeah,
relax. But as an entrepreneur, it's important to be intentional about work-life balance. It's important to be intentional about getting that self-care in, about getting that workout in, about eating, about going outside of your home to work. It is very important to do that. Very important.
yes. And I'm gonna add into having the right people around you
Oh my
to
God.
help you in that.
Hmm. Yeah,
Because I
I
don't know
agree.
how many times you and I have said, we're like, okay, we about to, you work over here and I'm gonna work right here.
Yes.
But we always take our breaks and we just having our random conversations that
Hmm.
ain't got nothing to do with our work. but we gonna get
Nothing.
back to work too. But
Yes.
those moments are essential, and they help so much, because
Right.
for me, I live in a studio right now, so it's hard for me to separate work and life because
Hmm.
everything's in one room. But
Right.
when I get with you, when you're in town,
Hmm.
we
Hmm.
have our space. We're like, okay, I'm on my computer, you're on yours. All right, break. Let's have a conversation. Let's go get
Right.
something to eat. But it's still encouraging, like, okay, we're taking a break, but we get back to work because we both want each other to be successful. We both
Yes.
want to see each other succeed and prosper in all that God has for us. And
Yes.
so in your faith walk, in loving yourself, having those people around you that
Hmm.
encourages you is so essential. What's something that you've experienced that has really helped you in your walk in relationships?
Right. Honestly, the therapy aspect of it, I started going to therapy about 7 or 8 months ago. And prior to going to therapy, like I had real bad boundary issues. Like I would let people do what they wanted to do, all for the sake of serving and different things like that.
Mhm.
I had friends, but I did not think that my friends were concerned about what concerned me, you know.
Mhm.
And since going to therapy has helped me realize, girl, these people do care about you. Like, they do care about you. Seriously, because like just the other day I was having, sometimes you have those days where you like, ugh, I just don't feel it. Like,
Mhm.
so I had that a couple days ago, a couple weeks ago, and God is so kind that when I was having my day, like I feel like God will let, for me anyway, God lets me have like a little pity party for day one. And then like day two, he's like, I'm gonna need you to snap out of it. But because you're not gonna reach out to nobody, watch what I do. So that day, one of my friends called me. She said, "Hey sis, let's go to lunch." The other day, the other friend called me, was like, "Hey, just checking on you. Are you good?" And I would say, "I'm okay." They said, "You're lying. I'm gonna call you in 20 minutes." And then the next couple hours later, somebody texts me, "Hey, you been on my heart." So I forgot the question, but I feel like God just can, for me, God continues to bring people around me that don't want anything from me. There's nothing that like, they just want me. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They care about the things that I care about. So I forgot the
Yes.
question. What was the question, girl? I just got caught up in that.
I don't know. I got caught up in it too. I think it was
Okay, okay.
talking about, talking about how important having the right people around you are in your walk.
That So I did answer it.
Yes.
So I did answer it.
Yes,
Having the
you did.
right
You did.
people in your walk is very important, because and this is the thing you need. My friends, I call, like, whenever I have sessions, I call them iron sharpens iron sessions, because like you
Yes.
said, with you and I, we always want to see the best in each other. We want to see each other succeed. Like, you have a podcast, I got a podcast. It's a matter of, ooh, girl, when you sign your podcast up again, I'm like, Ebony, you right. I'm gonna do it, blah blah blah. And then I tell you the date I'm gonna do it. Then I'm gonna get a text message to say, hey, listen, I was checking Apple and I didn't see your podcast. I was scrolling. Then I scrolled some more and I didn't see your podcast there. So what's up? So those are the iron sharpens iron sessions. So it's important to have people around you that are not yes men. It's important to have people around you that will get in your grits and tell you, listen, okay, I'm gonna let you have your moment right now, but snap out of it. Let's go. It is time to stop, get out of that pity party, and start doing what God told you to do. So I'm thankful for those people in my life, and I'm thankful that I have people in my life that I'm like, literally, yeah, get it together. We're not doing that today.
Yes.
So yeah, so it is very
Yes.
important. You don't need yes men in your life all the time. That's great for a season, but for me, I'm too, like, boom, 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 boom. I'm too hard and too, this is what I'm gonna do, for somebody to say, oh, you know what, that's good. It's not.
Mm-mm.
Mm,
No. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes men, I don't even feel like they're and this is just me. I don't even feel like they're good for a season because they enable you. Like it's I need
Yeah.
someone that's going to stretch me. Not someone that
Yeah.
just agrees with everything. Because I mean, some like we said earlier, some of the things that we have, they're great ideas, but
Yeah.
they're not in the will of God right
Right.
now
Agree.
or for you to do. Just like
Hmm.
King David, he wanted to, rebuild God's temple. And God said, "No, that's not for you. I'm gonna have your son do it." So
Hmm. Hmm.
it was a great idea, but it wasn't
Yeah.
for him to do.
For
So,
you to do.
but absolutely, those iron sharpened iron moments are absolutely amazing and necessary. I
Right.
want to say that it was some of those moments that helped me to see where I'm supposed to be and help me realize what part of my purpose is. So
Right.
those are just very integral in life, is to have those people. Like, I prefer to have 5 people sit there and help and question everything that I say I'm going to help me get to the point where this is the I got the solid path, than to have
Right.
one person that's always saying, yes, that's a great idea.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed.
But
Because the ideas could be great, but challenge me. Ask me how am I gonna do it? Like
yeah,
if I say, oh, I'm going to not okay, I got at least 5 businesses. Listen, at least 5 businesses. And I had considered starting another business. And one of my iron sharpens iron friends, I was like, "Oh, girl, I'm gonna do this right here." And they said, "That's nice, that's good, but when are you gonna do it? How are you gonna do it?" Like they asked the questions that I'm
mhm,
not gonna ask myself these questions at all. I
right,
just think it's a great idea, so I'm gonna do it. So after we had our session, I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna be a trainer. I don't have time for that. You just have to make sure that agree. You have the people that are there that will, and it's not that they're being disrespectful at questioning you. They're really trying to pull out the best in you. They're trying to make sure
yeah,
that okay, are you wasting time? Are you using this as a thing to avoid some of the things that you need to do? Why are you really doing this? Like, what is this? So, yeah.
right, yeah, yeah, and that is very important. Sometimes it's not that season, because I
Yeah.
remember I was listening to oh my goodness, I can't remember her name, but she's the director, and she was saying
Director,
how in one um
director,
no,
what?
the one that I seen in Virginia, that I told you she was at the Virginia conference. I can't remember her
Um,
name.
I know who you're talking about. She's over Megamind.
Yeah, yep. Um,
Yeah.
she did Trophy Wife.
Tressa.
Um,
Tressa.
yes, Tressa. She
Yeah.
was saying, she had a mentorship program for a certain thing. I can't remember exactly what it was. And so she had
Mhm.
that for a season. And then God shifted her and said, "No, now I need you to mentor people for script writing."
Right.
And so it was in a season. So it's not that the idea that we have isn't going to happen. It just may not be in a season, because God
Right.
needs to develop it a little more in order for us to truly give everything that we have to that. And in that, there's going to be things that He's like, okay, so now I'm transitioning you here, but
Hmm.
I need you to drop this right, because
Right.
you're going to need more time to put into this. So
Absolutely.
again, it takes us having those right people to help us realize, it's a great
Hmm.
idea, but that may not be for right now.
Right. Absolutely. I agree. I agree. Seasons and timings and shifting, that's all important. We just have to um be ready to listen and hear and and move when God says move, no matter when it is,
Yes.
no matter what it is. If God says it's a
Absolutely.
go, then it's a go, then go. But if God says no, I need you to hold off a second, it's for a reason. God does all things well. So when God
Yes.
tells you to shift and hold and wait for a second, do that. Because if you do that, then the next is gonna be greater. Like if we listen to God now, can you imagine what'll happen if we God said to wait on something and then 2 years down the line, that thing that God said waited on blew up for us?
Come on.
Listen, I'll take waiting on God over anything.
I'm singing elevation worship all day. I'm gonna wait on you
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
all day, all
Hmm.
day.
Yeah,
Well, I
and
hate to end the conversation. Oh, go
uh-huh.
ahead.
Because
Sorry.
okay. I was gonna say, and it's not to me. It's better to wait on God. Than I forgot what. Go ahead and end it because I forgot. We're gonna have to just re-pick it back up. We're gonna have to re-pick it back up on
Pick it back
another
up.
episode. Matter of fact, on my episode of Faith Made Me Do It, the podcast coming soon. Go ahead. Sorry.
Listen, listen. Yes. So, I hate to wrap it up. I ain't gonna miss out on conversation because this is my sister. We talk all the time. But I feel
Right.
sorry for y'all. But if you go ahead and follow us, because she'll probably be back on my show, and she gonna start her podcast back up too, and then I'm gonna be on her show. So y'all
Yes.
follow both of us, and you'll be able to get the whole conversation at some point in
Mhm.
time. And I promise you'll continue. But Tina Marie, um, the CEO of Faith Made Me Do It. I
Yes.
want you to hit on Faith Made Me Do It really, really quick. What is Faith Made Me Do It? How did you get there? And then also, how can they follow you to get more information?
Absolutely. Faith Made Me Do It is a brand that was birthed out of my obedience to God and really moving from place to place to place to place. When I every time I would move somewhere, somebody would always ask me, "Why did you move here? You don't have anywhere to live. You don't have a job. You struggling. Why are you doing it?" And my answer would be the same every time. Well, faith made me do it. God told me to move, so I have that much faith that if God told me to do it, I'm going to do it. So in 2020, 2019, my well, did I have it in 2018? Between 2018 and 2019, 2019, my father passed away, and that thing still came. Well, why did you move? Why blah 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 blah? Faith made me do it. So I ended up coming up. God gave me the actual words. Faith made me do it. And then I said, you know what? I'm gonna make this a brand. And then that's what it was. That's just what it was. It's an excellent talking piece because when people see me with my shirt on, they be like, "That's right, that's right." So tell me about it, and then you start telling them about the faith journey and why faith is important and how faith is important. But you can follow me on my social media platforms. My personal is Tina Marie Takes LA because I do. And my business, official Faith Made Me Do It. Again, official Faith Made Me Do It. We are launching a Black Friday sale. I don't know when this is going to go up. So if it goes up before Black Friday, check us out at faithmademedoit.com. If not, we still got stuff there, faithmademedoit.com.
So thank you so much, Tina. And just and one more thing, what is
Mhm.
one thing that you would want to leave the people to help encourage them in their faith walk?
One thing I would like to leave with you is to trust God. Trust God. It seems so minute and so simple, but it's hard to trust God when you don't see the end of the story. So if I'm all the way over here, you don't see, I don't know where my hand is, but I don't know if you see my hand here. So if you don't see, it's hard for you to trust it if you don't see my hand. But my word of advice to you, or my plea to you, is trust God with everything, because God is God for a reason. God knows all, God does all, God has all. He will not steer you wrong. If God tells you to do something, okay, we do question at some point, put a fleece out. God, if this is you, I need you to do XYZ. I need you to confirm it with you. And once he confirms it with you, you take that and you run with that and you do what God says. Because when you do what God says, it like I said, it could take you from here all the way up here. Just trust God with everything in you and you will not go wrong. And that's that.
Amen. Thank you so much, Tina Marie, for your encouraging words, for sharing your testimony. I know that someone's going to be blessed. I'm always blessed because we continue to have the conversation. It just continues to remind me how good God is. And if he did it for you, he'll do it for me. So I stand on that. I am excited to see what is next and what he is doing in your life, and to see, where we're going to be at in a year, even in a month. So everyone, thank you. Thank you again for joining us. Remember to love yourself more today than you did the day before that, and then you did the day before that. Be blessed, and we'll talk to you soon.